If you guys don't have this in your deck, get it into the deck, because if you get hand trapped, like you get your butt hand trapped off, you know, your opponent's playing like one of those decks that's going to be playing like, you know, 13 to you know, 16 hand traps or whatever in their main deck, something like that. Those were weird numbers. 12 to 15 hand traps in their deck. Then you need to have Fuko, because if they're going to be hitting you with like 2-3 hand traps a turn, you need to go into him, just wall up for a turn, and then once it gets back to you, then you can all of a sudden just go off. So Fuko, very, very important for the deck. This is when you get shifted, all that kind of stuff. Then we are playing one copy of Downward Magician and our one copy of Zeus to round off the XZs. For the fusions, we are playing that one copy of Millenniumized Restrict and one copy of Natis. The one copy of Herald of the Arclight, these are our two diviner targets, and then the one FA Dawn Dragster. This card, absolutely insane. Just absolutely love ending on this. My opponents, when they see me go into this, that's when they go like, oh, you're playing like a combo deck that's not going to let me do anything. And that's exactly what we are doing. For the links, we are playing one copy of Anima, one copy of IP Masquerena, one copy of SP Little Knight, the one Dynamondo, and then this is probably where it gets a little bit controversial, but I can't be persuaded at this point. The Moon of the Closed Heaven and Underworld Goddess. These cards are absolutely insane. If I can just tell a really quick story, earlier this last week, I was playing a couple matches against my friend Cole. He was playing Goblin Biker, that's what it was. So Goblin Biker, and he had like a full good setup. I believe I called by the grave one of his guys that was coming out of the graveyard to like detach off of my Fafnir, so that was why he wasn't able to like detach off of my materials. I luckily just do the call by the grave, which again, 40 card deck, just nice to be able to see those cards when you need them. Basically got out like my handful of bodies. He had an XZ monster right above me, so I went into Moon of the Closed Heaven, pointed at that, used my effect on that, got out like one more body, and then he had another XZ, and then I just linked everything away and went into Underworld Goddess, closed off his graveyard from being able to special summon back once per turn from the graveyard, all that kind of stuff, like the effects where it can only be targeted, all that stuff is just great. We are kind of in like a targeting meta right now, but overall just really great. This engine, you could play stuff like that's more of a board breaker or something like that, or more general negates, but I just think that this is really great. This is a board breaker, and this card just helps you get extra value for your Underworld Goddess. Like your opponent gets really upset when you steal one of their cards, but when you steal two of their cards,
I want to see how valuable Mewtwo is.
And
I feel like sometimes I lose games against Drytron because I'm way too trigger happy with negating Mewtwo.
On your field and then just link away into Underworld Goddess, it just feels so great. So that's sort of why I like playing that. Going on into the side, we are playing 3 copies of Lancia. This is the one card that I kind of just like, you gotta play it. We're able to search it obviously with our Ben 10, and then this is the card that again is going to stop Shifter, it's going to stop Distills, all that kind of stuff. I just did not want to play this in the main deck. If you are playing it in the main deck, if you don't draw this right away, like there's no point in trying to search this card if it's in your main, because if your opponent has Shifter, they're just going to Shifter you. You could obviously like Lancia to try to try to find Lancia before you get Dissealed, but again, if you're already getting a Ben 10 search, then you already have a Dissealed target in grave, so that again, it just doesn't really work. So I think that Lancia is better for if you know you're going first. You can go ahead and sideboard these in and then just be like, okay, my opponent's about to Shifter, I have 3 Lancia. You're never going to play 3 Lancia in your main, so I don't think there's any point in playing like one copy that you can just search from Ben 10. I think that it's 3 or bust, so since we need to go 3 or bust, you need to just play this in your side. Then we are playing the one copy of Vanity's Ruler, as I promised. Vanity's Ruler, again, it's still just a great card. I just don't like how clunky it feels in my deck when I'm trying to go second, or if I'm trying to go first, but I have like my 2 Diviner of the Heralds. So for siding patterns, I didn't really explain this before, but I would probably side out one diviner for one ruler if you know you're going first, and then if you're going second, you just side out the ruler. I think that is just easier.
I just realized I could have prevented that if I
Shout out right here to again
linked,
yyyy,
if I synchroed into Don Dragster first.
His video was what inspired me to move this into my side deck, which I think is actually more correct. So it kind of hurts our initial end board when we are on turn 1 if we're going first, because the original end board that I was playing like in my October list was you end on IP Masquerena, Dad, your FA Don Drag,
we're all good though.
Second copy of Fafnir, and then also the Beto Buster. We've now taken out the Beto Buster, and now we end on Medionis Drytron instead. It means that your end board is a little bit less good because you don't have that the counter trap to stop your opponent if they hit you with like a Droplet or a Dark Ruler No More or something like that. But again, you still have 2 spell trap negates as long as you get full combo. And so yeah, you still have two spell trap negates. You just don't have like the spell speed 3 negate there. But again, I just think that this is a engine that gets a little bit bricky from time to time. So you're literally taking out 2 bricks from the deck. A Beto Buster is like less of a brick because you can pitch him for a Drytron. But taking out the Magic Key Unlocking feels amazing in the deck. When you're just not playing this in your main, like it just feels more correct. So you take this out, put it into your side, and then when you're going first, for sure, you side this in, and it just feels great when you see it, and then you don't ever have to worry about drawing it when you're like going second if you're right after the die roll. So then for some other things for going first, some floodgates here that we can search for from Triple Tactics Thrust. We have Featherstorm and Dimensional Barrier. If you guys don't know the Featherstorm thing, we are playing the 1 copy of Fuko, which is a wing beast. So you just go ahead and set this. You can set it right out of Thrust. If your opponent hits you with a bunch of stuff, just go ahead and do that. Then for our going second stuff, or just for time, we have Natasha. But for the rest of the going second things, we have Triple Tactics Thrust. This is for going second or going first, I should clarify. Again, you can just use Thrust to set Featherstorm, or if you can't get into Fuko, go into the Barrier, so that's just going to help you out there. For the rest of our board breakers here, we have 2 copies of Lightning Storm and 1 copy of Evenly Matched. The ratios are a little bit weird, but again, you have Thrust to like search for these things, so that's why you're kind of playing these in these wonky ratios. But anyways, guys, that's going to do it for the deck profile. Let's get on into the combo tutorial. Okay guys, we are going to get into this combo tutorial. As you guys can see, the deck is pretty well shuffled up, nothing really in any certain order. So we'll just go ahead and give it a couple more shuffles here and see what we can get in our opening hand. As you guys can see here, I have like the main stuff that we need from the extra deck for this combo. So we have our 2 Mu Betas. So one of them will be on the end board, one of them will just get used up for the Dad materials when we ritual summon him, the 1 IP Masquerena for our end board, to be able to go into Dynamondo, which is why I just sort of have him off to the side, because we technically go into that on our opponent's turn. We have the Herald of the Arclight to send to the graveyard and the FA Don Dragster for our end board. And then the end board will also consist of the Dad and possibly the Medionis Drytron, depending on how our hand looks. Pretty much to get into like Medionis, I believe you need 3 names in your opening, or maybe there are ways to get there with 2. But also, if you guys do enjoy this, and okay, all right, we already see 2 names. We have the Called by the Grave, which is just kind of cool for showing in the tutorial. Okay, so we have 3 names, and then these are like 2 cards. If you can draw these, at least draw 1 of these in your opening. It's just really great. Called by the Grave is going to really help you out against like the shifter decks, Droll, all that kind of stuff. So seeing these in the opening, awesome. And also for a test hand, really cool, because then it just means I can sort of shuffle those off to the side, and then that means that we can like focus on these 3 cards. So we're going to be starting off here. Trying to think here what's going to be the best play. I think we just go Zeta to try to get into our spell card here. So we're going to go for Zeta, pitching the Gamma to special summon Zeta. Zeta is then going to search ourselves for our ritual spell, so we'll get the Meteorus Drytron to hand. Then we are going to special summon Mewtwo to the field. Since we have a Drytron on the field, Mewtwo is then going to add, I'm just trying to think of how I want to sequence this. I think we're going to add probably the Gamma, because we can, or actually, no, we're going to add the Ursartron Alpha. This is going to be our best play here. We are then going to take these guys to go into our Mu Beta Fafnir right there, and then this is going to send our Alpha. Just that way we can get our Alpha engrave to be able to sort of get some stuff going. We are then going to need to sort of, just to be able to utilize this guy, we are going to special summon him. I don't know why I was putting him to the field spell zone. I do know why I was doing that, because he gets us our field spell. So we're going to go ahead and use him to get the field spell, or he can also grab you your Meteorus Drytron. Always keep that in mind. But we are going to activate the Drytron Fafnir. Fafnir is then going to get us to Nova. We will then use Nova to special summon our copy of Delta, wherever he's at. There he is. So the only name that we're not touching here is going to be Beta Rostaban. The only way that we're going to get to Beta Rostaban is if we hard draw him or we draw Cyber Emergency. From here, it is a little bit suboptimal because like we are going through all of this without utilizing.
Mewtwo is pretty important to negate.
We just need to get Alpha online here. So we're going to go Alpha. Is going to tribute off the Delta, or else we could really just get rid of the Ursartron Alpha because he just doesn't really do anything. No. We want to get the other guys in the graveyard anyway, so it doesn't really matter, but we'll special summon, and then we will get ourselves our Beta from the deck, or sorry, our Ben 10 from the deck. Then we will go for our which of these guys do we want to do next? If we go Gamma, Gamma's going to summon Delta. I think that's still fine, so that's going to thin another card out of the deck. So we're going to go Gamma, pitch Ben 10, special Gamma. Gamma will then special summon the Delta from the graveyard, and Ben 10 is going to get its search off for another copy of herself. This is going to allow us, and also just keep in mind, right here we are not playing up against Nibiru, or we're not playing around Nibiru. If we thought that our opponent had Nibiru, we would try to play around it, but Nibiru's not like hardcore in the meta these days. So right now we're not playing around Nibiru, but there were ways that we probably could have, like we could have done the whole, like we could have added Alpha to hand probably with Mewtwo, or we could have just tried to do Alpha a little bit sooner, and then like got into the dad and stuff. But like this is just, I just wanted to do this to like make a better board, and then just playing around the Nibiru probably just like isn't worth it right now, because we, like, if our opponent Nibiru does like mid combo, we'd probably still be able to like do a few things. But anyways, now we need to get this Delta off the field, so we're just going to take our Ursartron. This is always the guy that you want to utilize to go into IP Masquerena, because his levels don't work for our XZs or our Synchros, so we always want to make sure that we utilize him for our Link play if he does land on the board. Then we are going to use that Delta to get our Ben 10 pitch to grave again, special summon, and then reveal the Meteorus Drytron. We'll give this a quick shuffle just to make sure that it's all randomized, and then we'll take one off the top, and we get infinite impermanence. Sort of like I said in the deck profile, I just love when, like, if we need an extender, we can always draw an extender, or infinite impermanence. Being able to like draw imperm or droplet, or triple tactics talent maybe if you feel like you need it, like if your opponent has already hit you with stuff. And now we're out of Drytron names to utilize from Grave, so we are just going to add Diviner now because we're out of like the Ben 10 effects. We want to get into that as quick as we can, so we're going to go into Diviner. That's going to pick our copy of Herald of the Arclight. Arclight is then going to add our dad to the hand, and then since we didn't open with a ritual monster, since we had to use one search from Alpha and then one search right there from the Herald of the Arclight, that does mean that our end board is not going to have the Meteorus Drytron on there, or Meteorus Draconid, but that's totally fine. We're going to go ahead and activate the Meteorus Drytron, taking off the first two materials for the ritual stuff, and then the third material is going to be him. I always just sort of like to say that to my opponent when I do it, that way they don't think like I'm sending Fafnir first, like they could kind of try to shark you that way. We're going to then reduce the attack right away of the Meteorus Drytron. or reduce his attack to add Meteonis Drytron back in hand. I always try to also make sure that I utilize that effect as early as possible, just for the fact, like, or the chance that I forget to do it. You know, you just want to make sure, like, the second that it hits the grave, if it works, add it back to hand right away, just so you don't forget. And now this is going to be pretty plain and simple. We are just going to send those guys for our effing Don Dragster, and then these two guys are going to go into our Blue Beta Fafnir, or you could also sort of change around how you wanted to organize that. Alpha, you know, if you wanted to put Alpha in grave, but he'll still get in the grave anyways pretty quickly on our opponent's turn. The one thing that we could, or no, we already did use Nuki, so that is all of our live effect here. We didn't have enough extension to get into the Meteonis Draconid, but the way that that could work, theoretically, is if off of the Delta, let's say that we drew our Beta Rastabon, then what we would do, or even if we just drew any of the Drytrons, then we would, and we would also, I guess we would also have had to open with one of the rituals, because again, we only have 2 ritual monster search effects. So if we opened one of those guys and we had Rastabon, just to explain how this works, we could then use the Meteonis Drytron again, send the Rastabon, and then send Alpha off as material to go into that Meteonis Draconid. So that's sort of how you'd be able to do that. And then your end board would then be, you'd have like being able to send 2 monsters here, 2 spell trap negates, basically 4 monster negates with the combo with Dynamondo. And then one thing that people always forget is the fact that Drytron Fafnir also has the disruption effect, where if a monster is normal or special summoned face up while you control a Drytron monster, you can reduce that monster's level by 1 per 1,000 of its current attack. You know, like, not a lot of people put a lot of stock in that effect, but it is really big, especially like with Ryzeals and stuff in the meta. If you are playing up against a deck that cares about its levels, like if you're playing against a Synchro deck, and also in Supreme Darkness, Sword Soul Tenyi, also just Tenyi support, all that stuff, they care about their levels. There are tons of decks that this card can potentially disrupt. It's not like a huge swing, but definitely is a really cool thing. So, but yeah, bear all of that in mind. Those are just sort of how that combo can work to get that extra disruption on your field from your Meteonis Draconids. But anyways, this is how our combo would be ending. So we have 2 spell trap negates and essentially our 4 monster negates there. And look at all the stuff that we have in the hand. We can still set Imperm right there in our middle column, which is the best spot to put it. And then we have Call by the Grave, which we can also set. And then if our opponent has like graveyard reliant stuff, if they're also playing Drytron, then like we have ways to disrupt their graveyard. So anyways, guys, that is going to do it for the combo tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys do want to see like a full-fledged, just full-on combo tutorial video, please let me know. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. Again, let me know down in the comment section below if you guys do want that full, like probably like a 20-minute combo tutorial where I'll show you like the key combos and then do a couple more of these test hands. But yeah, let me know if you guys want to see that. Subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. I'd absolutely appreciate it. Check out the Patreon if you guys want to support the channel, and we'll see you guys for the next video. Peace.
I'm fucked either way, huh? If I ban rituals, I'll get dadded. If I ban rituals, I'll get fucking divine arsenal. If I ban Xyz, I'll get Drytron. I think we ban ritual here. Just to listen. Just get my thought, it's all so no blessings. You're looking present, I'm already futuristic cruising satisfaction. Keep your pick. Back to Kubin. Water, let's go to porters. Next up, like the shining stars like that, but whenever it's not, you keep on blinking at me. You never turn away from me in this vast gloomy night sky. Light that fire up in the night, the journey that we struggle for uprise. No matter where we go, we will not stop the shining forever. Why can't I? Ah, all my links are dark. I guess it really is more of a toss-up now at this point than it was before with this new build. which is what we want. It'd be nice to have Vanity's ruler. Ano yan? Anong sword? Okay. Oh, sure, they can't declare an attack. That sucks. Summoning Beta Fafnir was a mistake. Is consecrated light really worth it going second? Malice can very easily link it to a non-dark monster on their own turn once I normal summon this guy and deal with it that way. Depending on the circumstances. I'm gonna leave Consecrated Light behind. That's weird. Dang it.